No, don't cut to the logo yet. Just absorb the mood. Hello people, Connor here with the latest episode of Crap on Deck. It's been a while, and I know I say that pretty much any time I make a video or podcast these days. I'm like early Spoony in terms of my ability to keep to a decent schedule with none of his popularity. I've been wanting to do more Steam Deck videos, and I took a bit of a sabbatical to deal with a crisis of confidence. I want to make longer videos, and I want to talk in a way that feels more like my real voice, and a little bit less like I'm reading off a script. I started Crap on Deck with the idea of playing games to talk about how well they work on the Steam Deck, and I got that down pretty well in the first few videos. But I also wanted to start talking more about the games themselves, because if I'm going to be playing through them to talk about deck performance, then I might as well talk about everything. Also, if you look at my other videos, there really wasn't much to talk about outside of this works well, or this doesn't. If a game works, it tends to work. There's probably not going to be anything specific about it that breaks on the Steam Deck. And, if I'm going to make the videos, I might as well talk about everything. Give me something to talk about that lasts more than 2 minutes. I also took a break so I could await the release of the deck dock, and now that I have it, I can record video without worrying about the battery constantly or forgetting to charge it overnight. Taking a break also let me evaluate how I want to format the series. So let's talk about F.E.A.R. First Encounter Assault Recon, released way back in the yesteryear of 2005, and it is one of my favorite games of all time. You play as the Point Man, a silent, mysterious dude with amazing reflexes tasked with taking down Paxton Fettel, a serial killer vampire/cannibal with psychic powers who is taking control of an army of clones. Same job I had 10 years ago. Also, this is 2005 when the world was still obsessed with the Matrix and the Ring, so there's bullet time and of course a creepy little demon girl with black hair who runs around and giggles, but in a spooky way. Are you a bad enough dude to take down a clone army, eagerly await the brutal death of an office sexual predator, and put an end to Fettel's reign of terror? Probably, although there are 2 more games in the series and also 2 expansion packs, so who knows. I suppose I should start off by pointing out that F.E.A.R runs great on the Steam Deck, and I know what you're thinking, Connor, you stupid moron, a gaming device from 2022 should absolutely run a 17-year-old PC game without issues. I get it, but if you've tried to launch F.E.A.R or its expansions on a modern PC, then you get where I'm coming from. F.E.A.R has issues with modern Windows systems, one that requires an unofficial patch that works. Ish. Most of the time. Unless it doesn't. Even then, there are problems with things just sort of breaking. Condemned has the same issue because it's on the same engine. Thankfully, F.E.A.R works out of the box on Steam Deck, although you'll need to do some heavy-ass customization if you want to play it with a controller. I think it's safe to say that F.E.A.R has aged like kombucha, in that it hasn't spoiled, but it has transitioned somewhat into vinegar. This is most obvious in the textures for the characters that definitely feel like they came out in 2005. They all have that smeared mud feeling that kinda looks like Doom 3 era id Tech. The spookiness has lost much of its touch over the years, although that might be because I've played this game well over a dozen times start to finish and I know its plot beat for beat. I play this game probably once every 2 years, consistently since the game came out. Okay, maybe not entirely lost its touch. The shooting is where F.E.A.R really hits its stride. The game employs an intelligent AI that can pretty smoothly react to battles as they play out. It's really neat when you get into a fight and hear grunts shouting orders, taking status, and feeling like you're fighting people capable of real thought. They can flank you, run you out of cover with grenades. It makes the game feel more rewarding when you win a battle not solely by tanking damage or doing cover shooting dance, but by outsmarting them as well. It also leads to some pretty exhilarating gunfights, and rarely does it ever feel like the game is cheating. Enemies are strong, but they aren't bullet sponges, except when it makes sense. If you get the drop, you can pop most enemies with a single shot to the dome. It's just a fact that the skull is at its least hardest when you're unaware that someone is going to try to shoot it. The environment also plays well to the pure energy of these battles. As everyone is shooting and throwing grenades, you destroy office equipment and warehouses. The bullets kick up debris, grenades send the lights spinning around, and it's all chaos until the last body drops. You'll find yourself holding tight as the haze of concrete dust clouds your vision, and there's always a tension that there might be one more guy hanging out ready to finish you off. F.E.A.R does a genius move around the middle of the game, and don't worry because this isn't really a spoiler. There's plenty of spoopy moments in the first half, but they're all separated from the action, and you realize very quickly that neither Alma or Fettel can hurt you, nor do they show up in the middle of a gunfight, except for the demons. And then the invisible enemies show up and turn the game design on its head because they will beat the shit out of you. All of a sudden, jump scares pose a real threat, and that makes the quiet moments going forward all the more tense. They only show up at a few spots, but the first time you play through, you don't know where those are. The best and worst thing that I can say about F.E.A.R is that the game requires you to play smart, and the more level-headed you remain, the easier it's going to be. I played through the campaign on hard mode and rarely found myself lacking health or the 10 limit health packs. If you don't act like a reckless idiot and run into open areas, you're mostly going to be fine. Use cover, use your grenades, and don't be afraid to camp. You're one man taking on a small army. Act like it. And you'll need to do it because this game will cut you down in moments if you get caught off guard or panic, which was the cause of most of my deaths. A word of advice, don't play F.E.A.R with headphones on. I say this because the physics engine in F.E.A.R is broken as hell, and while occasionally it leads to funny moments like cans rattling around for no reason, or enemies popping 10 feet into the air on death, it has some potentially damaging consequences, particularly when you sometimes swap a weapon with one on the ground and it sounds like you dropped a 1-ton can of nails. I played this with speakers and I'm pretty sure it damaged my hearing. Otherwise, the game's fine. If you're going to play with headphones, mute the sound when you swap a gun with one that's on the ground. Simple. I love F.E.A.R. You should play F.E.A.R. If you don't own F.E.A.R on Steam, the only way you can get it is with the complete bundle that includes all 3 games plus the 2 expansions. It's not a bad deal, $54 for the whole series, but it is a heavy sell if you're just looking to start off with one. If you don't have the Steam Deck and you're not worried about playing it on the Steam Deck, you can always pick it up on Good Old Games. I think it's still for sale there. Otherwise, check this one off as a must-play for your Steam Deck, especially if you're playing with a mouse and keyboard. Like and subscribe for more crap on deck.